Hey gang, this is Ryan from Old School Automotive, and as part of our continuing series on overlanding, today's video is going to be just a little bit of the basics of how to do overlanding, or as I like to call it, car camping. So today, just starting off from scratch, we've got our 2003 Suburban here. We're going to get it set up. First thing we got to do, because I plan to be sleeping in the back of this tonight, we got a third row seat that's in the way. So first thing we need to do is get rid of that. That was easy. All right, now we got to go ahead and start loading up our camping gear. And we got several different things that are going to need to go in here. I like to organize a lot of the smaller things into one of these sportsman's trunks. And this is just one by, I believe it's Rubbermaid. It's just a nice size for carrying stuff. It's about, 3 feet across by about 1.5 feet wide.
Just a quick correction and a few notes. The storage box I'm using in this video actually isn't made by Rubbermaid after all. It's made by Iris USA and sold under several different brand names, most commonly Remington. It's marketed as holding 82 quarts, which works out to 20.5 gallons. You can usually find these online for between $40 and $50, but as with any bulky item, shipping can be a killer. I've recently noticed that the Home Depot is now carrying Husky brand stackable storage totes. I recently tried one of these out and was very impressed. Being marketed as holding 20 gallons, the dimensions are almost identical to the Remington box I used in this video. They're equally sturdy, and a couple nice features with the Husky tote are the clear polycarbonate lid that allows you to see what gear is stored inside. And it also has a multifunction lid clasp system that allows the lid to open from either side as if it were on hinges, or it can be removed completely. It also has a very nice gasket to seal the lid to the body, and I'm quite sure it will seal just as well as the lid gasket on the Remington box. The real advantage to the Husky box, however, is shipping cost, or rather the lack thereof. Most Home Depot stores have this box in stock in the store, so you can go down to your local Home Depot to pick it up, which presents a significant savings in not having to pay for shipping. And on top of that, they often go on sale, and you can get them for as little as $35. If you're just starting out looking for a decent storage box, this would probably be my recommendation. Again, no affiliation to any of these products, and I'm not being compensated for my endorsements, just trying to pass along good, inexpensive options to help my viewers out.
So to organize inside the organizer, I like to use these little Sterilite totes. They're cheap, they're from Walmart. And this one is what I call my kitchen box. This has got just some paper plates, a sponge, a brush, a little bit of dish soap. I've got a silverware kit, one of these camp type lighters, a little bit of coffee. I got some camping mugs. I've got a little camping coffee maker, and this is butane propane mixed fuel for the jet boil, which I use for heating water. And this all fits nicely in this little tote, or little bin. And this organizes and goes in the bottom here. Something else that's handy to have is one of these collapsible type wash basins. So when you're doing dishes, you have a wash basin to do dishes in, or if you need to haul water or whatever, all kinds of space, all kinds of different uses for that. And there's just enough space for it to fit in on the side of my camping box here. Then I like to have a bunch of these. These are just your typical Mountain House or Backpacker's Pantry freeze-dried meals. These are just kind of like emergency food, but I like to have it along because in an emergency, or in the case that I just ran long on time and I'm getting to my campsite late, I can just, in a couple of minutes, fire up the jet boil and have a nice hot meal. And then I got, just a random MRE for showing the kids, that kind of stuff. Tonight we're going to be doing hot dogs and marshmallows, s'mores in this case. So I got a couple of these collapsible hot dog sticks. If you're in an area where you can just cut down, little branches or shoots or whatever for hot dog sticks, that's fine. But out here in the Arizona desert, wood is sometimes hard to come by. So these stainless steel collapsible hot dog sticks are great. And they just tuck right in the back there. Paper towels are something you are always going to need in camp. The problem with paper towels, obviously, is when they get wet, they get ruined. And the other problem is finding them. So at Walmart, they have these just lightly coated nylon waterproof bags. And I took one that was the right size for a full roll of paper towels in the brightest yellow that they have. And I keep my paper towels in that. That not only keeps them dry and clean, but all I have to do is look for the bright yellow bag and I can find those paper towels pretty easily. Obviously, having some wipes is going to be handy. Also, on the wipes department, if you have one of those military tri-fold shovels, that's great for digging a cat hole. If not, you're going to want to bring some kind of equipment because you're going to have to use the bathroom eventually anyway. I've got a portable folding toilet with waste bags. Moving right along, something else that I find to be very handy. This is just generic off Amazon, I think it is. It's a HDPE, high density polyethylene 2-quart bottle. And you can use any kind of 2-quart bottle. Rubbermaid makes some. The thing with the Rubbermaid ones that I don't care for is they've got like a little pop loose spout and they can get bumped and come open, and they're also curved, whereas this one you can see is rectangular. So this thing, when it's full, it will fit in the corner of your cooler and stacks really nicely. So I'm actually going to throw this in the cooler, but I wanted to show this because the 2-quart bottles are nice. You can take Crystal Light, those kind of like just those little envelopes that are made for mixing in a 2-quart pitcher, and you just add those in here with some water, shake it up. And this one, the reason I purchased this particular one is that the thread on the neck is the same as a Nalgene bottle. And when you are camping, obviously this screws tightly and it won't leak, but also if you have a water filter that is threaded to match up to a Nalgene bottle, you can put your water filter and screw it right on the top here. So that's a really handy thing to have. Also, when you're camping, you're going to need some sources of light. And what I've got here is just a gallon Ziploc bag full of a bunch of these cheap Harbor Freight lights. I've got a mini mag light LED. I got a bunch of little headlights and stuff, and as well as a cigarette lighter adapter, some phone chargers, USB chargers, and some USB cables. So all my electronic stuff is in there. And because I'm taking the kids this trip, I got a couple of these little small camping lanterns that my boys love to use when they're camping. Also related to the electronics and lighting, this is a handy little doodad. This is called Fuel Box. And what this is it's got a solar panel on one side, and it's just a really big lithium-ion battery. And it charges by the sun, so when you're camping, this can charge itself. It's got a couple of USB ports over here. It's got a Type-C port over here, flashlight, as well as wireless charging. So this is a handy little doodad for keeping your phone topped up, especially if you're not overland camping, if you're doing canoe camping or something. These are great. That way you can still take pictures with your phone, because you might be someplace where you don't have cell service, but keeping your phone running is important. Also, I like to take a couple of these parachute hammocks. If I'm going camping, I'm going to relax. It's nice to be able to toss a hammock in a tree and have something to relax in. A couple of camp towels. These particular ones are by Wise Owl Outfitters, no affiliation to me, but it's what I've used on a bunch of trips. It folds down in this small little mesh pouch, and unlike a lot of products that you get online, the bag is actually sized appropriately so that you're not having to cram the product back in here. But this has got a microfiber towel and a microfiber washcloth, and they've got like a little tab that you can clip it onto, like a tree branch or a guy wire from your tent or whatever, and it'll dry off. And they also wring out very nicely. They do a good job. Very lightweight, pack small. I like to have those. Obviously, going out camping, want to make sure we've got some bug repellent and some sunscreen. I got my sunscreen in the other bag. I'll have to grab that in just a second. Also, this is a handy place where we can put our snacks and our breakfasts. I like to use some Pop-Tarts or some bagels for breakfast. We got some Pringles in a can so they don't get smashed. And the last couple things that are going to round out is, this is a handy little doodad that I've made. And if you're interested in something like this, I can build you one. This is a 12-volt power converter that uses the battery packs off of my Ryobi power tools. And I've got these set up where the batteries are run in parallel and they go into a 18 volt to 12 volt step down converter. And when I hit the switch, I've got 12 volts at the plug here. And the reason I have this, you can use it for something as simple as charging your phones or running a GPS or anything like that, even a 12 volt inflator if you want to blow up an air mattress. I have sleep apnea and I sleep with a CPAP machine, and a pair of these 4 amp hour batteries get me through the night with a little bit to spare, even running with the a low humidifier setting. So this is critical equipment for me so that I can get a good night's sleep. And then last but not least, you want to make sure you have a good first aid kit. This is just a generic one that I bought off the shelf, kind of what I call a snivel kit, but I've upgraded it a little bit with a few things that I've added myself. It's got the typical, stupid things like, Band-Aids and moist towelettes and, Tylenol and ibuprofen. I've added a few things myself, a couple of chem lights, because if you get hurt in the dark, you're going to need to be able to see what you're doing to fix yourself. And you can't rely on a battery flashlight, because how often times have we pulled a flashlight out of the junk drawer and the batteries are all corroded and they don't work? These chem lights, as long as they're within their expiration date, you snap one of these, you've got light for 8 hours. And they're also great for flagging down help. I add some saline in here and some saline spray for irrigating wounds and for washing out eyes. I've got an instant cold pack in case, God forbid, there's a, someone breaks a bone or more likely just spraying something really bad. This will take the edge off the pain until you can get back to civilization. And then a couple of blister reliefs, some moleskin, stuff like that. That's just the kind of things that you want to add in on top of a regular, what I call snivel kit. And this, we're not going to be packing it in here. We're going to put this on top of all our gear, or we're going to keep it up front with us. We want this someplace where we know where it is at all times and it's easily accessible. So now that we've got our whole box packed up, one of the last things I like to add, I like to carry a huge mag light. Not only is this thing, this is an older 5-cell version, but I've changed out the incandescent bulb for an LED. So this thing is like retina fry bright. This thing is, you can see this thing from space. And not only that, it lasts forever because the LED light doesn't take a lot of electricity, and it can serve double duty as a hammer, a bonking stick. You can let your imagination figure out what other uses you could have for this, but it's handy to have something huge like this in addition to the little headlights. So if something you need to really cut through the darkness, that does it, whereas the little headlights are just for your, around the campsite little stuff. So we've got that packed up. The lid goes on, and there's even a little bit of a foam rubber gasket. So not only does this keep all your gear in one place, it keeps it dry, it keeps the dust off, and now that's ready to pack in the back of the Suburban. One thing I almost forgot to include here that goes in this bag, at least in my case, or this box in my case, are sleeping pads, a sheet cover for the sleeping pad, and an inflatable camp pillow. I've tried a bunch of different sleeping pads over the years, and in my experience, the very, very best, the Cadillac of sleeping pads, is the old school, late 70s, early 80s military inflatable mattress, aka the Rubber Maiden. Those things are almost impossible to find now. The next best thing are these Climate Static V sleeping pads. Again, no affiliation, but these things pack down super small. They are super light, and they give an adequate amount of padding. They also blow up extremely fast. It's only probably a dozen, maybe 20 breaths at the most. You are not going to get dizzy and pass out from that. Kind of a nice little luxury. Climate is now offering the V sheet, which is basically it's just a washable sheet that is designed to go over your sleeping pad. But the cool thing about it is it has a pocket at the top for your camp pillow. And for me, One of my main problems sleeping while I'm camping is that pillow goes shooting out and I end up, with a neck cramp because the pillow just slides out between the slippery sleeping pad and my slippery sleeping bag. And then my favorite camp pillow so far are these little guys by Ricky Ticky, and I'll show these when we get to the campsite. I'll show how these unfold and blow up. They have an attached drawstring pouch that keeps them handy. It's got a nice flannel surface to lay your head on. They blow up quickly, they deflate quickly. These things are just really handy. I'll put a link in the description. Again, no affiliation. Another necessity of any camping trip is going to be a cooler, be it a 12-volt powered ARB cooler if you're going to be gone for a long time. If not, a smaller Coleman cooler. The classic Coleman steel belted cooler is my personal favorite, but this is just an overnighter trip. It's just a quickie. So we've got a small igloo cooler here. We threw some ice in it. We got some hot dogs, some condiments, a few beverages, and to keep your hot dog buns from getting smashed, one of these handy little plastic tubs will keep that from getting damaged. All right, now we got to get our gear loaded into the Suburban, and to save you the boredom of watching me pack a vehicle, we're going to use the magic of YouTube and just use it very quickly using my powers of my magical snap. First, we're going to load our sleeping bags and our luggage. All right, so now that our stuff is in there, next we're going to grab our little red campfire and camping lantern. Okay, and as I mentioned before, we've got a few items here. Our camping lantern, just your standard Coleman lantern, uses little 1-pound cylinders. The little red campfire is something that I found. They also make a larger version, the big red campfire, but this is great because it is a propane powered campfire. So if you're in an area where finding campfire wood is hard to come across, or like us where we live in the desert and there are a lot of fire restrictions, you don't have to worry about that because this is propane powered, and most burn restrictions generally don't apply to propane powered cooking appliances, which, since we're going to be roasting hot dogs and marshmallows, this is a propane powered cooking appliance. Now, don't take my word for it. This is up to whatever authority is in charge of burn restrictions in your area, but generally these get around burn restrictions. And the other nice thing about them, you don't end up smelling like wood smoke after you get done camping. It doesn't stink up your vehicle, it doesn't stink up you. It's just a really handy little deal. You can use a regular barbecue tank. I've got this smaller 5-pound propane cylinder. It's just a nice size, so you're not lugging around a big heavy propane tank. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to snap these things back into the back of the Suburban. Okay, next up, the camping box that we packed inside. Let's snap that into the back of the Suburban. And next up is going to be a water jug, because you've got to have water for camping, and a cooler. And as you can see, it's just a little cooler here since it's an overnight trip. And this is just an old water jug that I got at the camping supply house. The military water jugs, I would recommend getting one of those instead. They tend to be more durable and they're less likely to leak. So next up, we're going to load a camp table, camp chairs, a tent, and our little toilet chair into the back of the Suburban. And last but not least, we're going to be adding the SUV tent, which I reviewed in a previous video. And there it is. So we're just going to add that in. I am going to rearrange this slightly. I'm going to turn this sideways to keep these coolers and the jug from flopping around. And I'm probably also going to add a tie-down strap to secure this. But now, what fun is camping? I mean, camping is fun by yourself, but the most fun camping is if you're going to take someone with you. And to that end, I'm bringing my two boys, Gus and Jack, and I'm going to have them appear right beside me right now. There they are. Here's Jack and here's Gus. And the next time you see us, we'll be at the campsite.
A few moments later.
Okay, so we've arrived at a location that looks pretty good. We found a little 2-track that was marked as being able to be traveled by vehicles. We drove up the 2-track for a while until we found this nice, yeah, Jack is happy with this spot too. We found this nice area. We've got a couple of flat spots here. We've got a little flat spot right here that I'm gonna back the Suburban into. And then behind me over here, there's a fire ring as well as some split firewood that some previous campers left. We're not gonna be using a wood fire because there's a burn ban going on right now. We don't have a burn permit, a fire extinguisher, any of that stuff. But there's also a nice flat spot in the shade where we can set up our tent because Jack wants to sleep by himself tonight with the dog. We've got plenty of trees to hang up our hammock, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So as you saw from the time lapse there, we have our camping area set up. It didn't take us too long, maybe an hour, and that was just kind of taking our time. And so what we got going on, this is just a camp table that I've had for years and years. It's just a cheapie I got from Walmart, but it had a plain unfinished wood top. I just hit that with a little bit of polyurethane to seal it from stains and stuff, and it's been good to go since then. It's nice to have a little spot to be able to put stuff, just your random incidentals, food, a prep area for getting stuff ready, what have you. It's just nice to have a little flat spot to put stuff. As you can see, we've got the SUV tent window tents installed, and coming over here in the back of the Suburban, we have folded the second row seats down, and Gus, my oldest, and I have our air mattresses and tents set up over there. And Jack is the adventurous one this trip, and he wants to be sleeping in a tent by himself for the first time. Granted, we're going to be right here with him. And guard dog Moose, where'd you go, Moose? Right there. He's hiding in the shadows right there. He's going to be sleeping with Jack too, and there's a good chance that Dad's going to end up having to go sleep in the tent as well. But for now, we're going to try and have Jack sleep in his own tent. This is just a tent that I've had for probably 20 or 25 years, just a cheap Walmart special, but it's lasted really well. And then to make relaxation a little bit easier, Gus is demonstrating one of the parachute style hammocks. You can get these, there's all kinds of different ones. I've seen them at Harbor Freight. I got this one off of Amazon. This is by Wise Owl Outfitters. They're the same ones that make my camping towels. And that's a 2-person hammock. I would recommend always getting a 2-person because even the 1-man hammocks are a little bit too small even for a single person. A 2-person hammock allows you to lay diagonally if you want to, which will give you a flat sleeping surface. And then the last couple things that we've got going on are the little red campfire. I've got it set up right here. I actually put it in the middle of the existing fire ring so you can see, which way am I pointing here? Little red campfire is there. And then following the propane hose back, I got my propane tank set up over there. And this is just real simple. You can light it with a lighter or one of those long reach lighters, preferably because it can kind of flash up when you do spark it initially. They're about $100. And again, I don't have to worry about fire restrictions, stinking like smoke, getting wet campfire wood, anything like that. It's just, I know I'm going to have a campfire. I know it's going to work. And then of course, camp chairs. Your cheapies from Walmart are just fine. You don't need anything special. If you are into pack and light, this particular little camp chair I've got, this is by, I believe it's Camp Time is the name of it. This is the Roll-A-Chair by camptime.com. Again, no affiliation, but the construction is all aluminum. It has a nice little fabric seat and a seat back. It's extremely lightweight, but it gives you a camp chair that packs up extremely small. It carries really easily, and it doesn't take up much space in a canoe or in the back of an SUV. Oh, and then of course, water being the other main concern. I've just got our water jug parked here in the crook of a tree, just away from the campsite because it does leak, and I don't want it dripping water all over and make it a big muddy spot for us to walk through and track all over the place. So at any rate, we are going to enjoy our camping for a little while, and we'll come back to you when it's campfire time.
Day 2.
Hey gang, we're back. It's the next morning, and obviously after the basics of brushing our teeth and changing our clothes, the next order of the day is breakfast. And if you're just starting out camping and you need something easy, that's usually the best way, is just do something nice and easy. Pop-Tarts, bagels, that type of thing. Doesn't require any cooking. But as you get more advanced in your overlanding skills and you try to bring more of the little comforts from home with you without overloading your rig, of course, you don't want to bring so much gear that, you know, it's just a ridiculous amount of stuff that you have to haul. It makes camping too much work. But there are a few small items that you can pick up that make life a lot easier. Like, for one, I call this a jet boil. It's not really what it is. This particular one is it's just an inexpensive butane propane burner by Coleman. This is just a little stainless steel container that I use for heating water in. And with these, I can have hot water in about a minute. And these are really handy for making stuff like instant oatmeal, which these guys are a huge fan of. Isn't that right? Mm-hmm. And also, the 2-quart container that I was mentioning earlier, we're going to have, instead of just drinking cold water with our breakfast, or in my case, just making some coffee, these guys would like something that has a little bit of flavor. So the little Crystal Light packets are great for that. So Jack is going to help me shake up some Crystal Light because it is very, very compact, easy, and has all the ingredients in it. Go ahead and pour that in there, Jack. All right, I'll take your trash. Yep, you good with it all? Now let's put that lid on nice and tight.
And we're going to shake it.
And you're going to be our shaker man. So you're going to shake that.
Oh, this thing's heavy.
Yeah. And now Gus and I, Gus, if you would get your lighter, I'm going to turn the knob and you go ahead and light that up. Of course, the wind starts right now. You can take a break, that's fine. Here, hold it down by here and just spark it. There. Just the spark was enough to get the light. Alright, so this little stainless container, I've already put a bunch of water in here. It has a handle that folds out and a little lock and ring so that even if you squeeze it, it doesn't accidentally come undone. And I got about 16 ounces of water in here because each of the oatmeals requires 2/3 of a cup. Our water is now nice and warm. I'm going to say that's warm enough because we got bubbles forming and we got some nice condensation on the lid, and I know you guys don't want to burn the crap out of your mouths here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna
make my mouth like on fire.
Yeah, let's not make your mouth on fire. So I've got a cup here. I'm gonna add some water. The line is about here, so I'm gonna add water to about 2/3 of that. That's a little bit. We can always add more water if you need it. Careful, pour that right in your stainless steel cup there. You go ahead. And if you need more water, there's a little more water. There's extra water. But for now, stir that up and tell me if that's the right amount.
It's the right amount.
Well, tell me after you stir it up and find out. And what I'm going to do is put the lid back on this and the handle and flip into place and kind of keep that from falling over. These guys are having some oatmeal for breakfast. Me, I'm going the easy route today. I just brought some Pop-Tarts. Again, it's just stuff that I grabbed out of the pantry. Also, if you do end up having some kind of jet boil like this, or even the old-fashioned, like a Coleman stove, which you can heat water in, those freeze-dried meals that you get at the camping store or at Walmart, they make some breakfast skillets that are actually surprisingly good. So don't discount those if you want a nice hot breakfast. Those freeze-dried breakfast meals are really good. And you guys have had those.
They're good.
You can attest to the fact that they're
Awesome.
They are really awesome, actually. But the main thing that I want to emphasize is that while camping gadgets are cool, and they do definitely have a gee whiz factor if you're trying to impress somebody, but don't let the lack of cool gadgets or the lack of funding to buy them prevent you from getting out and enjoying the great outdoors. Because you can get out here, you can have breakfast and enjoy camping with no investment or even just a minimal investment. So don't let that stop. One of the beautiful things about being out here, even when there's so-called, quote, nothing to do, we're just out in nature. The beauty of this spot is that there's no cell service, and that forces you to disconnect from your 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. That forces you to take it easy. There's literally nothing else that can distract you because you can't get in touch with normal modern society even if you wanted to. And that in and of itself is worth a lot, and it is worth getting out just for that. Pro tip, if you are laying the long way in a hammock, you're going to end up kind of in an arc, which is fun for a little while, but it can get a little bit stiff on your back. But if you lay at about a 45-degree diagonal angle in the hammock like this, you tend to lay a lot flatter.
Time to snap the tent into its bag, and we're gonna put it in the Suburban. It's done.
Here we go.
A few minutes later. One eternity later.
One of the handy things about overlanding is if you pack everything right, not only do we have everything with us, but it's fairly easily accessible. In this case, we were running a little bit late for lunch and we wanted to go on a hike, and so rather than hiking hungry, we just stopped real quick. I pulled out the jet boil and one of these freeze-dried meals from our camp box, and we've got water heating up right here on our back bumper real quick, and everybody else was able to stop and stretch their legs. We're able to give Moose a little chance to get out and walk around, and the boys have got a chance to get some of that energy out before we go on our hike where we're really going to get the energy out. But we've got all our stuff right here. We've got a nice little spot to sit. We've got shade from the lift gate. It's just a great little experience.
6.5 hours later.
Well, we're back home after a successful trip, and just like anything, your job isn't done until all our gear is put away. Make sure when you're putting away your gear, if there's anything that got exceptionally dirty or needs servicing or batteries that need replacing, do that ahead of time so that next time when you're getting ready to go camping, all your stuff is ready to go. At this point, we just need to get our stuff unloaded on the Suburban and take it inside. Jack, you want to help me? Give me a hand and snap this out here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And just like that, through the magic of YouTube, we have snapped all our gear out of the Suburban. We've snapped our back seat back in, so we're ready to resume our family hauler duties. At any rate, if you learned something from this video, please like and subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it helps me bring you guys more content. And again, check out the other videos in our Overlanding series, and we'll catch you next time. Old school autumn. Say bye, Jack. Bye.
Many months later.
And just a quick update on the water containers that I've been using. Earlier in the video, you saw there was an older type of green container. And like I said, it was an older one that I've had for a long time, and it was really leaky. What I've moved on to now are these blue cubes from Reliance. Again, no affiliation. They're not sponsoring me in any way. This is just what I use, and it works really well. I wanted to share it with you guys. They hold 7 gallons each. They actually have graduations on the side that tell you how much water is still remaining. So if you shine a flashlight through here, you can actually see and know exactly how much water is inside. They have a screw vent that you can tighten down, and the water spigot is inside of the large threaded opening here. You can just unthread that little spigot and put it on the outside to get water. It's a straight thread, so it threads in equally well from either side. But what's really nice about these is they're lower and wider than those tall skinny ones that I was using, and the bottom is shaped so that you can stack them one on top of each other. So not only are these way less likely to leak, I mean, it's a water can, it's going to leak a little bit, but these leak so much less than the old water cans, but they also pack better and stack better. So just an update on that. So what should the main takeaways of this video be? Well, that overlanding primarily is just simply camping that's based around a 4x4. It's about the experience of going four-wheeling. And whereas sometimes camping is done for its own sake, overlanding, you're doing it with the idea of experiencing a lot of dirt road driving, seeing the world from your 4x4, as opposed to backpacking or canoeing, which are similar, but you're using your feet when you're backpacking, or you're using the canoe when you're canoeing as your mode of transportation. Whereas overlanding, your mode of transportation and the way that you see the world is from your 4x4. But the main takeaway should be that you don't need a pile of expensive gear to go overlanding. All you need is a 4x4 to fit the definition. You can sleep in your 4x4. You don't need all this expensive rooftop tents and awnings and all that other stuff. That's just, a lot of that can be for show, but for some people it's just to make things a little bit more comfortable when they're overlanding, which is fine, but you don't need that. A sleeping bag, a cooler, and a 4x4, that's all you really need. And if you don't have that, steal some extra blankets off your bed and go down to the 7-Eleven and get one of those foam coolers and a bag of ice. And literally that's all you need, and you can get out there and give it a try. And if you find it's something that you enjoy, well, then I hope to be able to bring you some more video content and some products specifically geared to making your overland experience more enjoyable. But until then, I hope you guys get a chance to get out there, explore the great outdoors in your 4x4, do it safely, and have fun. That is the name of the game. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you next time on Old School Automotive.